Denver, Colorado, is Frankie Wilmer. He's a PhD, professor of political science at the University of Colorado, Boulder, which has a lot of liberal people and Democrats. I worked in Denver for a couple of years. I'm well versed at the UC Boulder. So first of all, Doctor, thank you for helping us. And am I making any mistakes?
Not so far, for sure.
So
I have to tell you something, though.
Go ahead.
This is the time we met. Did you mention I was a legislator, right, in elected office for 8 years? I actually bought political ads on your AM radio talk show.
Good. And I hope they helped out. Well, you are a registered Democrat, because I asked my staff, I said, get me a smart Democrat. Get me somebody who's not going to come in here and just throw propaganda my way. So from your perch in the Rocky Mountains now, do you see any hope for your party in the next few years?
Well, you talked about the polls. The polls go up and down. There have been times in the past. You said this is the lowest point for Democrats in
35 years. Yeah.
35 years. And just in 2014, 2013, and 2017, polls showed Republicans at about the same place. So it's even more recently. So, yeah, they go up and down. I don't think we've seen the effects of the tariffs. Whenever they're going to come and go on inflation. We definitely have not seen the impact of the Medicaid cuts, especially to the rural hospitals and healthcare givers. And those rural states are mostly red too, by the way. So I think that's going to have an impact. And, we talked about the cratering of support for or favorability for Democrats. Donald Trump's popularity has been cratering as well. I mean, he's at 37, we're at 33, but
he's 40. He's 46 in the Journal poll.
And the Gallup poll, July 7th through July 21st.
But we know where he is.
We know.
Right. Okay. All right.
The Gallup poll is pretty reliable. The point is that the Republicans control all three branches. They control both houses and the presidency, and they have more Republican appointed Supreme Court justices.
Well, the only hope you have is if people turn on Trump. But my analysis is, even if that happens, they're not going to vote. They're not going to vote for you guys. They're not going to vote for you guys, because all of the things that I listed are in stone. They happen. So if say there's an independent voters and they make the calls now, and they go, I don't think Trump's doing a good job for whatever reason, some of the reasons that you mentioned, they're not going to go in and pull a lever for Democrats after Biden and Harris and all of these people disappointed everybody so badly. They just won't vote.
Biden's first election and Obama's two elections both polled very positively with independents. And as you know, this same Wall Street Journal poll shows that independents were the biggest chunk of losses for the Republicans, 29% or something down among independents. So yeah, swing voters are where it's at. I actually think part of the problem is that voters, first of all, as you know, politics is mostly emotional, not so rational. It's about how people identify and how they feel about things. And so that can be very different than reality. And that's about getting the message and the messengers to deliver the message in a clear.
But who's the messenger? You don't have a leader. Democratic Party has no leader.
It's not just that. I could go through a list of people. You name some of them. I think they're very articulate.
But nobody knows who they are. There's not one Democrat outside of the communist faction.
Until the convention, nobody knew who Obama was either. So in the next,
but we're talking
closer to the election cycle, to the campaign cycle. Messengers will emerge.
Who?
Buttigieg, Gretchen
Whitmer.
Buttigieg?
You can't eat. The air traffic controller situation is desperate.
Gavin Newsom. We've got plenty of.
Well. Doc.
I like Wes Moore.
But nobody knows who the governor Moore. Nobody knows who he is. Gavin Newsom is poison for your party. You've got to know that.
It's not time. But I want to make a little bit of a different point on kind of as a political scientist. The voters clearly in the Mamdani, I know you're going to call him a communist. We'll talk about communism later maybe. But his election in the mayoral primary, Democrat, and Biden's Trump's election as president has a really clear message for all of us, which is voters are tired of and they don't want to support candidates who are canned, candidates who are scripted, candidates who are handled.
I agree with that, but you're putting. Remember, Doctor. Remember Sarah Palin when she got the nomination in Minneapolis. The famous line that she stole, "You're putting lipstick on a pig." All right? So Mamdani is a communist. The guy wants to seize.
Democratic socialist, just like everybody.
That's what he says he is. But then when you read his screeds, he wants to seize control of the private economy, which is yes, that's what he said. That's what he said.
But I've listened to him 4 times.
I live here.
Hour.
You live there. I live here. All the people who I know what he says. Okay.
Right, so my point, he's a socialist Democrat, just like everybody in Scandinavia is a democratic socialist, and they're not communists.
Way more than that. Way more than that. Now listen, if you're going to bank on Mamdani to be a positive for the Democratic Party, you're going to be sorely disappointed.
I said that was the message of his win.
His win was 22%. Only 22% of the Democratic registered voters cast a ballot in that primary. That was nothing. It's New York. It's chaos. He's not going to win. He's not going to win a mayoral race. But what they're going to do,
we can talk about the mayoral race another time. The point is,
no, we're not. We need to talk about it now. The Republicans, Doctor, give me 30. I'll give you 30. Republicans are going to tie a millstone. The Democratic millstone is going to say Democrats right around this guy's neck. Okay? And that's what they're going to do because he's so far out there. But just the fact that you brought him up, and we're talking about him now, shows there isn't one mainstream Democrat, not one, okay, that can spur the message of the Democratic Party. There isn't anybody.
I like Chris Murphy. I like Wes.
Who is he? Nobody knows him.
Chris Murphy. Gavin Newsom. I like.
Gavin Newsom?
We've had presidents who lost their first run and then won the second term. And presidents 2 times, Cleveland and Trump, won a first term, lost a second, came back for a third. So I don't write off Kamala Harris even.
I got one specific question for you. When Gavin Newsom took over from Jerry Brown in California, the state had a surplus of more than $100 million. They are now $34 billion in debt or something. And you like him?
I said I like him.
Why? You like his hair? Come on. Guy's as inefficient as any politician I've ever seen. And Buttigieg is second. You can't even get on a plane.
Bill, I'm going to go back to 2 things you said. One is that DEI is about showing favorability for people because of their skin color. That is not what it is.
Equity, that is what equity is, and that's in DEI.
People who want to misinform and mislead the public are saying that, but I worked in that business in civil rights legislation.
Look up equity. Favoritism to certain groups. Look it up.
Favoritism for white men for 200 years.
So what? So what?
Is not even favoritism.
You don't correct a historical wrong by instituting another wrong.
I've heard you say that before too, but you know what? You didn't write the Constitution, and still you want the rights that it presents you. So I
want everybody to have an equal opportunity to pursue happiness.
You can't just pick the parts of history that benefit you.
Look, come on, Doctor. You know DEI is deeply unpopular. You know it's deeply unpopular.
About what it is. It's unpopular the way it's presented, the way you just said, which is not what it is.
Yes, it is.
No, it
isn't. Yes, it is. It's favoritism towards certain groups.
No.
Don't give me that. It is favoritism.
Recruit a workforce, a qualified workforce that looks like America. It's that simple.
That's favoring certain people based on skin color and ethnicity.
It's an aspiration, not a policy.
Aspiration is fine. Knocking people out because they're not the right color isn't, and that's what the Democrats support.
The Supreme Court has ruled on this. That's not.
Why do you think DEI is so far down in the polls? Do you realize it's 65%?
People like you who are giving misinformation to people. And
My
misleading
information,
about
look
what
it up.
is.
Look up
I
equity.
know
Look
what
up the
it is.
definition.
I could read you Title VII, word for word. It prevents employment, fiscal, financial, credit, housing discrimination against protected classes of people.
That's fine.
That's fine.
We're talking about hiring and admissions to universities.
That's
you don't do
employment.
that on skin color. And they have been doing it,
And
you
the
know it.
Supreme Court has said that you don't. The Supreme Court agrees with that.
And you don't think colleges and employers do that? You don't think Boulder does that? Come on.
I don't think they choose a less qualified person because of their skin color. No.
All right. Look, I want to go next time you visit the Land of Oz. I want to go with you.
Is this Land of Oz?
I appreciate the lively debate, Doctor. Thank you very much. Thank you. Let's talk about something big pharma doesn't want you to hear. The government and drug companies suppress treatments like ivermectin and others, not because they didn't work, but because they threatened their billion-dollar vaccine rollout. They want control over your health, but when it comes to your health, you should be in charge. I trust All Family Pharmacy. They provide ivermectin, antibiotics, more essential treatments that can be hard to find. They handle prescriptions shipped directly to your door in days, no hassle, real options. Stock up now so you're prepared, whether it's for illness, travel, or just peace of mind. You never know when you'll need these medications. So please go to allfamilypharmacy.com/Bill. Use the code BILL10 for 10% off. Again, allfamilypharmacy.com/Bill, code BILL10. All right, NYC shooting, it's a saturation coverage. You know all about it. Some nut walks into a building in Midtown Manhattan and he kills 4 people, including a NYPD officer. All right. Shane Tamura, 27, African-American, shot himself after he killed the 4. Horrible. Could have been anywhere. At the same time he was doing this, there was a mass shooting in Reno, Nevada. I got no coverage. Now, this is elevated because a police officer was shot. And his name is BillOReilly. Now, interesting story here with this man. 36 years old, immigrant from Bangladesh. Of course, he's legal. He signs up to the cops 3.5 years ago. He's a good man by all accounts, 2 young sons, wife pregnant, okay? And he's dead because his nut shot him for no reason. And I've been looking at the motivation, which is the important part of the story. So this guy was really insane, the shooter, Tamara. He writes a suicide note that says he has a brain disease and it's the National Football League's fault. He has a brain disease. He never played football. So he walks into the building where the NFL headquarters are. That's the story. Totally out of his mind. Okay? Now, the bigger picture is that I said this could happen anywhere, and it's absolutely true. But in New York City, there is a climate of fear. After this broadcast, I have to go into that city, all right, 100 degrees. And everybody knows me. I'm a hometown boy. And I talk to people, and they're afraid. And here's what I said on News Nation last night. Go. The state of the country is this. In the rural areas and in most smaller cities, you don't have this chaotic anarchy as far as crime. In states like Texas and Florida, big states, all right, throughout the South, they do enforce the law. They punish violent criminals harshly, okay? There is a separation. The only solution to violent crime is punishment. That is it. I wrote a book called Confronting Evil. It'll be out in September. All of these evil mass murderers got away with it because the people in their countries looked away. Just like the people in Los Angeles and San Francisco, New York City, on and on. They looked away. You will not stop these monsters unless you punish them. Now, New York City has declined in social order significantly. Everybody knows that. All right, the past 12 years have been horrific under de Blasio and the current mayor, Eric Adams. Why? Because the legislature in Albany passed a law that says you can commit a violent crime. You can punch somebody in the face, breaking their nose, and you will not be held on any bail at all. You can go out and punch somebody else. Okay? That's insane, because Democrats control New York City and state. And there isn't any Democrat who is opposed to it. So social order has declined drastically in almost every area. The city is filthy. The subways in certain lines are dangerous. The thugs run wild. The drug addicts are ruining neighborhoods. This is a quality of life. Now, when you have that atmosphere in any city, San Francisco probably the best example, all right? Violence rises. The violent culture kicks in. Now, that's not to say this guy, because he's from Nevada, the shooter yesterday, all right, was part of that culture, but he came to New York, all right, and was I surprised? No, because I see violent crime every day in this city. I wasn't surprised. Joining us now is Rafael Mangual. He is a senior fellow at the Manhattan Institute. The Manhattan Institute studies New York City, all right, and state to some extent. So Rafael wrote a book called Criminal Injustice, What the Push for Decarceration and Depolicing Gets Wrong and Who It Hurts the Most. All right, now, we have a mayoral race coming up, as everybody knows. And this Mamdani, who won the Democratic primary, is a communist. And he wants to basically, he's not going to admit anymore he wants to defund the police, even though he said that. But he is anti-police. He doesn't believe in, and the only thing that's keeping New York City even afloat is the police department. That's it. Okay? And he'll not attack, but he'll marginalize the police department if he wins. Are you with me so far, Rafael? Do you agree with that?
I'm with you so far, yeah.
Okay, 100%.
I think he'd probably go even further.
Okay,
I think he'd probably go even further.
Let's play it conservative here. Okay, you know, let's just do that. Because the city's quality of life is so far out of control now, the man's going to make it worse. And that'll lead to an exodus of affluent people out of New York City and state, taking their tax revenue with them. Your mayor, Rafael, okay? This happened before. This happened before. Giuliani came in after a series of weak mayors and cleaned it up. Could that happen again?
Oh, it could absolutely happen again. We know not only from history that we've been able to clean up a mess far bigger than the one that we have now, but we also have the lessons that were learned during that period of how to do it. We also have the technology to do it much more efficiently and quickly now. So, you know, there really is a key component here, and you put your finger on it earlier, which is that the NYPD has to be front and center in this effort. And that is one of the things that I do think scares voters about this Zohran Mamdani character, because not only is he on the record multiple times saying that he wants to defund and abolish the NYPD, not to mention jails and prisons and all of those things that help keep us safe. But even as he's moderated or pretended to moderate on those positions, you know, he's moderated to a level that is still unsatisfactory. I mean, the most recent thing that I think he said was that he would try to maintain the current force level that the NYPD has. Well, the current force level that the NYPD has is significantly below the ideal.
10,000.
At the turn of the century.
It's 10,000 below
at the turn of the century,
what its apex was. Okay, so say that I don't think he's going to win. I think something's going to happen here. And this shooting is going to hurt him, Mamdani. So he gets people's attention, and they're going to vote for a soft on crime guy. It's going to hurt him. But what has to happen in the city? You say the police have to take the lead. I agree. But the police can arrest as many people as they want. If the judges are just kicking them back to the street because of the state legislature, signed by Cuomo, another person running for mayor, then there's no solution. You arrest, guy goes in, judge lets him out. He commits more crimes, right?
That's exactly right. So the bail reform, as well as the two other recent state level reforms to the state's discovery laws, which impose administrative burdens on prosecutors who have to now do significantly more work to bring cases, such that they have to triage and choose which cases they're going to prosecute and which they're going to allow to be dismissed for failure to comply with these regulations. But also there was a juvenile justice a bill that was passed in 2018 called the Raise the Age Law, which basically makes it impossible to incarcerate 16 and 17-year-olds who commit
no matter what they do. Right, no matter what they do. All right, so you can't put
That's
it.
exactly
all
right.
So what is the solution?
Let me just quickly tell you the worst part about all of this, because even if we were to fix the NYPD, and even if we were to convince the legislature to undo these bad laws, Rikers Island, which is New York City's jail complex, is set to close in August of 2027. And there is not going to be a jail system that is going to be ready to replace it.
I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think that's going to happen. The feds will take it over.
I sure hope not.
Okay, but again, I want solutions here. You say if we can convince Albany to do X and Y, you know what this state is. The highest tax state in the union. It is run by far left people and the Democratic machine. I don't think it's realistic. They may moderate a little bit, because Hochul is really underwater in the governor campaign. But in the city itself, you've had such poor leadership for 12 years. I mean, what is a new mayor going to come in? What is he going to do? What should he do?
I think the most important thing that the mayor can do is, keep Jessica Tisch in charge of the NYPD.
Okay, that's a police commissioner. She's done a good job. I agree. Tisch stays.
Invest in hiring at least 7,000 to 10,000 more police officers, and to do it very, very quickly without, and this is the real challenge, without maintaining the lower standards that they have gone to. But
nobody wants, look, they can't even get people to sign up because the police officers don't want to come into a system where they make an arrest and it doesn't matter. And if you're a police officer in New York City, right, if you make one mistake, you're going to be sued civilly or charged criminally. Who wants to go into a system like that? You're never going to get 10,000 people to come in, ever.
That's exactly right. I mean, and this is the real challenge, because what people don't really understand is that as bad as the recruiting and retention crisis in the NYPD is now, it's about to get significantly worse over the next couple of years, because we have several thousand officers who are going to become eligible for retirement.
And they're going to take it.
Years, because I do think that that's the case.
Right.
So there are things, though, that I do think that the next mayor can do to innovate and make the job more attractive to high quality candidates. And one of those things.
I'm not sure. Not with that legislature. All right, final question. Your opinion is that it has to come from law enforcement. The changes in the city and the quality of life changes have to come from the police themselves. I don't think that's possible. When you have marijuana smoke on every city, on every block in the city, when you have Alvin Bragg and Darcel Clark, DAs of Manhattan and the Bronx, and these people do not want to prosecute most crimes. You know that, I know that, the stats show that, okay? The cops can't do it by themselves. And if you have a weak mayor and none of the candidates, we asked to have the Republican running, Curtis Sliwa, on as a guest tonight to put out his platform. He wouldn't come on. He don't want to come up against me. He doesn't want to answer specific questions. So I assume a Democrat will win, and that Democrat will just do what the other Democrats, maybe not quite as bad. Cuomo's not going to be as bad as de Blasio, but is he a reformer, Cuomo? No. Last word.
Yeah, I certainly don't think Cuomo's a reformer. In fact, his name is on many of the pieces of legislation that are causing a lot of the problems that we are still dealing with. But I do think it's going to take a mayor that has recognized that the problems lie in Albany, that those laws need to change, and who is committed to investing in the NYPD and putting pressure, using the bully pulpit, on people like Alvin Bragg and Darcel Clark to do more and to do more quickly.
I don't know. This city needs about 6 months of martial law. And That's what it needs. And if it doesn't get it, it's going to be next year at this time 100 times worse than now. And that's going to be, there's going to be disorder in the streets. Raphael, thanks very much for the time. I appreciate it very much. Tax day's over, but for many Americans, the trouble is just beginning. If you missed the April 15th deadline or still owe back taxes, listen up. The IRS is filing more than 5,000 new tax liens every day. And with tools like property seizures, bank levies, wage garnishments, they are applying pressure at levels we have never seen. But Tax Network USA has you covered. Are you self-employed or a business owner? They specialize in cleaning up financial chaos to get you back on track. You can still regain control. The consultation is absolutely free. Acting now could stop penalties, threatening letters, and surprise levies from escalating. So please call 800-958-1000 or visit tnusa.com/bill. Deadline is passed. Let Tax Network USA help you before the IRS makes their next move. 800-958-1000 or visit tnusa.com/bill. America is more dangerous than ever with violent crime on the rise. While you could rely on a firearm, using deadly force today can land you in court, costing you years and your life savings. Trying to prove you acted in self-defense. FBI data shows 99.9% of all altercations do not require lethal force. That's why smart Americans are turning to Byrna. Proudly made in Fort Wayne, Indiana, Byrna's less lethal self-defense launchers are trusted by law enforcement, private security, more than 600,000 citizens. Byrna launchers fire kinetic rounds and powerful tear gas or pepper projectiles, able to stop a threat up to 60 feet away. No background checks, no waiting periods, delivered right to your door. Take control, be ready. Visit Byrna.com today. That's BYRNA.com, or head to your local Sportsman's Warehouse. Ghislaine Maxwell is making demands. She is in prison, federal prison in Miami, for helping Jeffrey Epstein commit heinous crimes with underage girls. If I were President Trump, I would say, you're not getting a deal. We're not pulling you out of there. You're serving you 20 years, and that's it. We don't need her. Goodbye. All right, that's it. So, and I hope she doesn't get a pardon, because that would be, couldn't come back from that. Let's see, what else I want to tell you about. CNN says the shooter in New York City is possibly white. Roll the tape.
John, stay with me. I know you're obviously getting information here in real time as we're talking. Shimon back with us on the phone on the scene. Shimon, you hear John's reporting that they do know what he looks like. Male, possibly white, mustache, sunglasses, in that building, isolated to, they believe, to various locations, including upper floors, is where they're focused.
Now, she was referring to John Miller, who does a security analysis for CNN, and he had described the shooter as possibly white. There is nothing wrong with that. They're talking about what the man looks like and who he might be. And I know that Aaron Burnett has been, this is not fair. I would have done the same thing. 1/3 of Americans in 2024 had mental illness or substance abuse disorders. 1/3 of us. This is from the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration. That's frightening. That means that 1 out of every 3 people you encounter, not really all there, and a lot of them might hurt you. That is a tremendous story. All right, and we as Americans need to grapple with that. I don't know if it's higher here than other countries, but boy, when I said that, I know the addiction thing is out of control, because we just enable it, and we shouldn't. But boy, oh boy. Media madness. This is Newsbusters again. Newsbusters.org. Fabulous job. They are a conservative organization, but that doesn't matter. Their stats are unbelievable. The View, so far this year, has booked 102 guests to talk about politics. 102. Okay? 102 have been liberal. Not one conservative guest on The View. Not one. Disney ABC, I'm telling you, you got to stop it. You're using your power, Disney, to propagandize. It's wrong in every way. Smart Life. Americans say they need $100,000 salary to be financially secure. You need a lot more than that. I'll just tell you. 100,000 is you're not going to be financially secure if you're making 100,000. And here's a stat that's right. When Joe Biden became president, $100,000 is worth now $125,000. So what you could buy with $100,000 when Biden came in, you now need $125,000. Thanks, Joe. Good job, man. Thank you for watching. To view full episodes of the No Spin News anytime, sign up to become a BillO'Reilly.com premium or concierge member today.